Good evening, students. This is Saraswati KB, Associate Professor, Government First Aid College, Tiptur, Department of English. This is a session prescribed for third semester students, and the paper is Romantic Literature. Here we will learn the political history of England, strifes and conflicts, part 2. In this session, we will trace the history of British Empire and its expansions the world over. Great Britain made its first tentative efforts to establish overseas settlements in the 16th century. In 1670, there were establishment of British American colonies in New England, Virginia and Maryland. Jamaica was obtained by conquest in 1655. The East India Company was established in India in 1600. The first permanent British settlement on the African continent was made at James Island in the Gambia River in 1661. Britain acquired the Cape of Good Hope in 1806. English Crown exercised some rights of appointment and supervision, but the colonies were essentially self-managing enterprises. The formation of the empire was thus an unorganized process based on piecemeal acquisition, sometimes with the British government being the least willing partner in the enterprise. But gradually, in the 17th and 18th centuries, the British Crown exercised control over its colonies, chiefly in the areas of trade and shipping. In accordance with the mercantilized philosophy of the time, the colonies were regarded as a source of necessary raw materials for England and were granted monopolies for their products such as tobacco, sugar in the British market. In return, they were expected to conduct all their trade by means of English ships and to serve as markets for British manufactured goods. The Navigation Act of 1651 and subsequent acts set up a closed economy between Britain and its colonies. All colonial exports had to be shipped on English ships to the British market, and all colonial imports had to come by the way of England. British military and naval power under the leadership of Robert Clive, James Wolfe and Eric gained for Britain two of the most important parts of its empire, Canada and India. Fighting between the British and French colonies in North America was endemic in the first half of the 18th century, but the Treaty of Paris of 1763 ended the 7 Years' War and it left Britain dominant in Canada. In India, the East India Company was confronted by the French, but Robert Clive's military victories against the French and the rulers of Bengal in 1750s provided the British with a massive accession of territory and ensured their future supremacy in India. The Napoleonic Wars provided further additions to the empire. Canadian settlements in Alberta, Manitoba and British Columbia extended British influence to the Pacific. While further British conquests in India brought in the United Provinces of Agra and Awadh and the central provinces, East Bengal and Assam. The 19th century marked the full flower of the British Empire. New Zealand became officially British in 1840s, after which systematic colonization there followed rapidly. British control was extended to Fiji, Papua and other islands in the Pacific Ocean. In the wake of the Indian Mutiny in 1857, the British Crown assumed the East India Company's governmental authority in India. New Zealand became officially British in 1840. Cyprus, which was like Gibraltar and Malta, a link in the chain of communication with India through the Mediterranean, was occupied in 1878. British influence in the Far East expanded with the development of strait settlements and federated Malay states, and even the French completion of the Suez Canal provided Britain with a much shorter way to India. Hong Kong Island became British in 1841, and an informal empire operated in China by way of British treaty ports and the great trading city of Shanghai. Dear friends, this is in brief the history of colonial British. Thank you for watching the video.